What if the random twists and turns of your life aren't random at all? What if every challenge, every surprising encounter, every moment of profound suffering is actually part of an intricate, meaningful narrative? A story you're not just living, but actively, albeit unconsciously, writing yourself? Join us as we delve into the profound philosophy of Carl Jung. Welcome back to Stoic Pyre. Today, we embark on a journey into the mind of one of the 20th century's most influential thinkers, Carl Jung. Jung offered a radical perspective that life isn't just a chaotic series of events we stumble through. Instead, he proposed that human existence is a structured psychological process, a grand design subtly guiding us towards a magnificent purpose, becoming our fullest, most authentic selves. It's a journey he called individuation, and understanding it can transform how you view every single moment of your life, turning confusion into profound insight and suffering into meaningful growth. Prepare to see your life not as a burden, but as a masterpiece in the making. At the heart of Jung's philosophy lies a concept so vital, so encompassing, that it defines the very essence of human existence: individuation. This isn't just about being unique or finding your niche. It's a deep, lifelong psychological process of integrating all aspects of your psyche, conscious and unconscious, light and shadow, into a unified, coherent whole. It's about becoming precisely who you were meant to be, not who others expect you to be, or who society tries to mold you into. Jung himself articulated this beautifully, stating, "Individuation means becoming a single, homogeneous being, and insofar as individuality embraces our innermost, last, and incomparable uniqueness, it also implies becoming one's own self." We could therefore translate individuation as coming to selfhood or self-realization. Think of it like an acorn destined to become a mighty oak. The potential is inherent, but it requires the right conditions, the struggle against the elements, and constant growth to realize its full form. Similarly, we are all born with an innate blueprint for wholeness, a psychic center that Jung called the self. Individuation is the arduous, often painful, but ultimately deeply rewarding journey of unfolding that blueprint. It's about shedding false layers, confronting uncomfortable truths, and integrating forgotten parts of ourselves until we resonate with our authentic core. This journey isn't just a personal choice. Jung believed it was the very purpose woven into the fabric of our being, a fundamental drive that pulls us towards completion and psychological maturity. It's a process that makes life itself meaningful, turning every experience, even the most challenging ones, into steps along this sacred path. So, is your life a series of random events you react to? Or is there a deeper guiding current at play, subtly orchestrating your journey towards self-realization? This brings us to a crucial Jungian insight. Life is not a chaotic, meaningless stream of events. Far from it. Jung proposed that life is a teleological psychological process. Now, teleological might sound academic, but it simply means goal-oriented, purposefully directed. Our lives, he argued, are guided by an innate drive towards making the unconscious conscious. Think about that for a moment. Most of us go through life believing we are fully aware of our motivations, our desires, our fears. But Jung suggested that a vast ocean of unconscious material, memories, desires, archetypal patterns operates beneath the surface, profoundly influencing our decisions, our relationships, and even the fate we perceive. This unconscious isn't just a repository, it's an active, dynamic force, constantly sending signals and nudges, attempting to communicate with our conscious mind. He famously stated, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." This is a powerful, almost unsettling idea. If we remain unaware of these hidden forces, if we don't bother to explore the depths of our own psyche, then our choices, our reactions, and the patterns that repeat in our lives will seem like external forces beyond our control. We'll blame luck, circumstances, or other people for situations that are, in fact, emanating from our own unacknowledged inner world. The unconscious, in Jung's view, isn't malevolent. It's wise. It holds the keys to our wholeness and our authentic direction. Its guidance often comes in the form of symptoms, dreams, slips of the tongue, or even dramatic life crises that force us to confront what we've been ignoring. The journey of individuation then becomes an active, deliberate engagement with this inner compass, a commitment to bringing light to the shadows and understanding the deeper meaning behind the fate we experience. It's about taking responsibility for our inner landscape and, in doing so, reclaiming agency over our outer lives. So, how does this unconscious communicate with us? How does it direct our life and shape what we call fate? Jung believed that life's challenges, symptoms, and experiences are not random misfortunes, but rather symbolic messages from the psyche itself. They are urgent calls for our conscious awareness to recognize and integrate hidden psychological content that we've repressed, ignored, or simply never acknowledged. Imagine you keep finding yourself in the same frustrating relationship patterns, or you repeatedly encounter similar obstacles in your career, no matter how hard you try to escape them. From a purely rational perspective, these might seem like bad luck or external circumstances. But Jung would suggest looking deeper. These repeating patterns are not external enemies. They are often projections or manifestations of an inner situation that has not been made conscious. Jung articulated this concept with profound clarity. When an inner situation is not made conscious, it appears outside as fate. This means that the unaddressed anxieties, the unintegrated traumas, the unexpressed desires, or the unacknowledged aspects of our personality don't just disappear. Instead, they find a way to express themselves in our external reality. They might manifest as chronic anxiety, unexplained illness, recurring conflicts, or a pervasive sense of dissatisfaction. These fated events are not punishments. They are invitations. They are opportunities for us to turn inwards, to inquire, to listen to the whispers, and then the shouts of our own psyche. The universe, in a Jungian sense, isn't throwing curveballs just for the sake of it. It's reflecting back to us what we need to see within ourselves to continue our journey of individuation. By engaging with these messages, by making the unconscious conscious, we don't just solve external problems. We grow, we expand our consciousness, and we move closer to wholeness. What might your recurring struggles be trying to tell you about your inner world? Are you listening, or are you just wishing them away? To truly grasp the dynamics of individuation, we need to understand two fundamental concepts in Jungian psychology: the ego and the self. While often confused, they represent distinct yet intertwined aspects of our psyche, engaged in a constant dynamic dialogue. The ego is what we typically identify as I. It's the center of our conscious awareness, responsible for our sense of identity, our rationality, and our ability to navigate the external world. The ego is crucial. It helps us adapt, make decisions, and form a coherent personality. It craves stability, predictability, and a sense of control. It's the captain of the conscious ship, trying its best to steer through life's waters, but Jung argued that the ego is not the totality of who we are. Beyond and encompassing the ego is the self. The self is the totality of the psyche, both conscious and unconscious. It's the unifying center, the archetype of wholeness, the very blueprint for individuation we spoke of earlier. It's a transcendent entity, often experienced as a sense of ultimate purpose or inner wisdom. Jung clarified this distinction by saying, "The self is not only the center, but also the whole circumference which embraces both conscious and unconscious. It is the center of this totality, just as the ego is the center of consciousness." Think of the ego as a small island, and the self as the vast ocean surrounding it, containing unseen depths and endless possibilities. The ego's perspective is limited to its island, while the self holds the knowledge of the entire oceanic world. Individuation is largely the process of bringing the ego into alignment with the self, allowing the ego to realize it is merely a part of a much larger, wiser whole. This isn't about eradicating the ego, but about integrating it, allowing it to serve the greater purpose of the self. When the ego resists this alignment, tension arises, which often manifests as inner conflict or external difficulties, urging us towards greater consciousness. While the ego seeks comfort, security, and the preservation of its established identity, the self, that deeper, all-encompassing core, has a more profound agenda: growth, expansion, and authenticity. This often means the self will instigate situations that compel us to abandon old patterns, shed outdated beliefs, and transform in ways that are deeply uncomfortable for the ego. These situations are often what we perceive as life crises: a sudden career loss, the end of a long-term relationship, a significant health challenge, or a profound spiritual awakening that shatters our worldview. From the ego's perspective, these are catastrophic, but from the self's perspective, they are necessary, even wide. Disruptions designed to break us out of stagnation and push us towards greater integration and consciousness. Jung aptly observed this two-phase journey. The first half of life is devoted to forming a personality, the second half to breaking it apart. The first half is about establishing the ego, finding our place in the world, building an identity. We conform, we adapt, we build structures. But inevitably, if we are open to growth, the self begins to assert itself, demanding that we question those structures, that we dismantle the persona we've carefully constructed, and that we venture into unknown territories of our own psyche. This breaking apart is not destruction for its own sake. It's a necessary deconstruction for higher reconstruction. It's the chrysalis phase, where the old form dissolves to allow the butterfly to emerge. Embracing these disruptive moments, understanding them as invitations from our own deepest nature, is key to the individuation process. It allows us to move from simply existing to truly becoming. Are you bravely facing the storms of transformation, or clinging to the safety of what you already know, even if it no longer serves you? Another cornerstone of Jungian thought is the profound impact of personal myths and narratives on our experience and perception. Jung believed that our lives are fundamentally shaped by stories. Stories we consciously tell ourselves, but more importantly, stories that operate beneath the surface, unconsciously. These personal myths are often rooted in universal primordial patterns he called archetypes, which reside in the collective unconscious, a deeper layer of the psyche shared by all humanity. Think about the narratives that define your life. I am a survivor. I am a healer. I am forever unlucky in love, or I am destined for greatness. These aren't just descriptions. They are powerful lenses through which you interpret events, make decisions, and understand your place in the world. They guide your expectations and your reactions, and often we're not even aware of these underlying stories that dictate our choices. Jung, reflecting on his own life, intimately understood this, stating, "My life is a story told by the unconscious." This isn't to say we have no agency, but rather that much of our story is being written by forces beyond our immediate conscious grasp. These forces tap into archetypal patterns: the hero's journey, the wise old man, the great mother, the trickster, which provide a framework for human experience. We unconsciously live out these patterns in our own unique ways. The work of individuation involves recognizing these personal myths, especially the unconscious ones. It means asking, what story am I living? Is it serving my authentic self, or am I trapped in a narrative that limits me? By bringing these myths to consciousness, we gain the power to revise them, to actively participate in writing our own story, rather than being passively carried along by an unexamined, unconscious narrative. This allows us to align our personal journey with the deeper, archetypal currents of human experience, giving our individual lives a profound, universal resonance. The path to individuation is not always one of light and bliss. It frequently demands that we confront what Jung called the shadow. The shadow is everything we consciously reject about ourselves, our repressed urges, our socially unacceptable traits, our weaknesses, our shame, and even aspects of our greatness we are too afraid to own. It's the dark side of our personality that we hide, not just from others, but often from ourselves. We tend to project our shadow onto others, seeing in them the faults we refuse to acknowledge in ourselves. This is why we might feel intense dislike or fascination with certain people. They often embody aspects of our own unintegrated shadow. But until we own these projections, until we bring our shadow aspects into the light of consciousness, we remain incomplete, and these unacknowledged parts continue to exert a powerful, often destructive influence on our lives. They can manifest as self-sabotage, irrational outbursts, or persistent feelings of inadequacy. Jung was unequivocal about the importance of this confrontation. One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. This isn't about becoming evil or embracing negativity. It's about acknowledging the full spectrum of our humanity. It's about recognizing that these darker aspects, when integrated, contain immense energy and potential. Acknowledging our capacity for anger, for instance, allows us to channel that energy into assertive action rather than destructive rage or passive aggression. Integrating the shadow is a challenging, often humbling, but utterly essential step towards psychological wholeness. It requires courage, self-compassion, and a willingness to look honestly at what we've hidden away. But in doing so, we unlock a richer, more robust sense of self, one that is not fragile or dependent on external validation, but genuinely complete and authentic. What secrets lurk in your own psychological shadows? Are you ready to bring them into the warmth of your awareness? Beyond the personal shadow, individuation also involves integrating other significant unconscious complexes, particularly the anima and animus. These are Jung's concepts for the unconscious contrasexual images within us. For men, the anima represents the unconscious feminine aspect, qualities like emotionality, intuition, receptivity, and connection to nature. When unintegrated, the anima can manifest as moodiness, irrational sentimentality, or difficulty forming deep emotional bonds. But when acknowledged and integrated, she bestows a man with emotional depth, relational sensitivity, and creative inspiration. For women, the animus care represents the unconscious masculine aspect, qualities like assertiveness, rationality, objectivity, and drive. An unintegrated animus can appear as stubbornness, rigid opinions, or a critical, argumentative nature. When integrated, however, he provides a woman with inner strength, clear discernment, and a capacity for decisive action. Jung believed that within every man lies an inherent feminine principle, and within every woman, a masculine one. These aren't about gender roles in a societal sense, but about the full spectrum of human psychological qualities. Our journey towards wholeness requires us to recognize and integrate these internal counterparts. Denying them leads to a one-sided personality, a feeling of incompleteness, and often difficulties in relationships as we project our unintegrated anima or animus onto others. For example, a man who denies his anima might seek an ideal woman to carry all his emotional and intuitive needs, leading to unrealistic expectations. A woman who ignores her animus might struggle to assert herself or make rational decisions, relying too heavily on external male figures. The integration of anima and animus is not about becoming gender neutral, but about achieving a rich, balanced internal life where both our masculine and feminine psychological energies are accessible and harmoniously expressed. This fusion brings us closer to the androgynous completeness of the self, a true psychological balance. Finally, Jung proposed an idea that elevates individual human consciousness beyond mere personal growth into a cosmic significance. He suggested that our individual consciousness serves as a unique vehicle through which a larger universal consciousness, or life itself, experiences, perceives, and ultimately comes to understand itself. This perspective shifts our self-realization from a purely personal endeavor to a sacred act that contributes to a greater unfolding. We are not just isolated entities striving for personal betterment. We are intricate parts of a grand overarching drama, where the universe is observing itself through our eyes, feeling through our hearts, and learning through our minds. Jung encapsulated this profound connection with the image. Man is a gateway through which the outer cosmos streams into the inner cosmos, and vice versa. We are literally the bridge. Our individual experiences, our unique perceptions, our struggles and triumphs are not just happening to us. They are happening through us for the benefit of this larger universal intelligence. When we make the unconscious conscious within ourselves, we are not just liberating our own psyche. We are participating in the consciousness of the cosmos. This idea gives immense weight and meaning to the individuation process. Every step we take toward self-awareness, every shadow we integrate, every myth we understand isn't just for our own benefit. It's a small but significant contribution to the universe's ongoing journey of self-discovery. Our personal journey becomes a microcosm of the universal journey, blurring the lines between the individual soul and the collective spirit. It's a humbling yet empowering thought. Your growth is not just about you, it's about everything. Consider the profound ripple effect of your personal transformation. Your journey is not just your own, it's a contribution to the unfolding consciousness of the entire universe. So, what does it truly mean to embrace Jung's vision of life? It means understanding that individuation is not a destination you arrive at, but a continuous process of becoming. It's a lifelong commitment to psychological growth, a willingness to always explore, to always question, and to always integrate. There's no final aha moment where everything becomes perfectly clear and resolved. Rather, it's a dynamic, ever-evolving dance between the conscious and the unconscious, the known and the unknown. It requires active participation. We can choose to be passive recipients of fate, letting the unconscious dictate our lives from the shadows. Or we can choose to be active collaborators in our own unfolding myth. This means cultivating self-reflection, paying attention to our dreams, seeking meaning in our symptoms and challenges, and courageously confronting what lies within. It means understanding that every experience, no matter how painful or mundane, holds a potential message, a piece of the puzzle of who we are meant to be. The journey of individuation asks us to embrace paradox, to hold seemingly contradictory truths, and to find the unifying center within them. It promises not an easy life, but a deeply meaningful one. It transforms suffering from pointless pain into purposeful growth, and confusion into profound self-discovery. By actively engaging with our personal myth, by seeking wholeness through the integration of all aspects of our psyche, we not only realize our own unique potential, but also contribute to the grander unfolding of consciousness itself. It's a journey worth taking every single day. Carl Jung's philosophy offers us a transformative lens through which to view our lives. He invites us to see beyond the surface, to recognize life not as a random series of events, but as a purposeful journey of self-realization, a teleological process of individuation. By making the unconscious conscious, by understanding the symbolic messages within our challenges, by aligning our ego with the comprehensive wisdom of the self, and by integrating our shadows and contrasexual aspects, we move towards a profound sense of wholeness and authenticity. This isn't just about personal well-being, it's about our unique contribution to a universal consciousness, experiencing itself through us. What hidden aspects of your psyche are calling for integration? What unconscious patterns are shaping your fate? Take a moment to reflect on the deeper narratives at play in your life. Journal about your recurring challenges. Pay attention to your dreams. The journey to selfhood is perhaps the most vital quest you can ever undertake.